Hey everybody, Mike Naso here from IPR365.com and PodWeather.com. I know I said yesterday would be my final video update, but I do have time for one more, and I thought that with Hurricane Ida out there, it would be prudent. You can see this has not been a very active hurricane season, and most activity has remained away from the U.S., but Hurricane Ida will not. Now a Category 2 hurricane, and you can see it's taken the track through Central America up into the Western Caribbean, now has its sights set on the Gulf Coast of the United States. Now taking a look out there today, there's the visible satellite imagery, and you can see the eye of the hurricane peeking out right there. Tiny little eye, reminds me a bit of Hurricane Isidore when it left Cuba and was in the Yucatan Channel. It popped out a bigger eye and of course went into the Yucatan, and that was in 2002, 7 years ago, in September. However, this one's going to continue to progress further towards the northwest, and then eventually a turn towards the north. But where exactly that happens and how fast it turns non-tropical will be critical for areas of the United States with the impact of Hurricane Ida. Now here's the latest as of 12 p.m. Central Time. This is 1 p.m. Eastern Time. It was at 21.7 north, 86.1 west. Winds were up to 100 miles an hour. So this is a powerful hurricane, even though it is November 8th. We are dealing with a powerful hurricane gusting to 120 over the major hurricane force winds, with the gusts northwest at 10, 978 millibars. They had been measured as low as 974, but certainly dropping. It should peak out over the next few hours, but it could always strengthen a little bit more, maybe to Category 3, but right now that is not expected. And by tomorrow morning, be edging its way up closer to the Gulf Coast, and then by Tuesday morning actually making a landfall as a hurricane, but one that's starting to transition non-tropical into an extratropical system. But the Hurricane Center is doubting whether or not that will happen in time, and even if it does, the impact could be pretty nasty. You could see anywhere, though, from Morgan City, Louisiana, all the way over down here towards Fort Myers, Florida, are within this cone. But the timing is different. If it does take the western edge of this cone, it could be making landfall in Louisiana by the time 10 p.m. rolls around on Monday. If it were to loop back around, the impact could be felt in Florida by Thursday morning. So there is that angle to the coastline, and it will be hard to determine when an area will be impacted, but nevertheless it should continue right towards the Gulf Coast of the United States. We do have hurricane watches out from the Florida Panhandle on back towards Louisiana, as well as tropical storm watches, and these will be upgraded to warnings probably later tonight as the system continues the fast approach towards the United States as a Category 2 hurricane right now. Now here's the visible satellite imagery a little bit closer, and you can see the eye of the hurricane starting to peek out there as it continues to move on off towards the northwest. Right there's the eye, and again, as this convection wraps around, that should be the end of the intensification. But as of right now, it's too early to tell why the system's strengthening, given that it is dealing with some hefty wind shear, which I'll show you in a second. There's the water vapor imagery, and look at the end how the eye pops out. Now the eye is right in this region here, so it looks a little bit lopsided as the convection spins around, but look at this fanning out of the clouds on the western side. That is an indication that it is still strengthening despite the wind shear, but with all this dry air and all the shear it's moving into, it won't be 100 miles an hour when it hits the Gulf Coast, say within 24 to 48 hours. At least it doesn't look like that. But certainly with the eye and the eye wall, that should be starting to degrade by the time landfall occurs. But how strong is it, even if it's just a coastal extratropical storm? That will be key. But you can see the eye of the hurricane, Hurricane Ida, a late season Caribbean hurricane, which has surprised a lot of folks because it looked like this system was going to be nothing more than a moderate tropical storm at this point in time, and it is, of course, a powerful hurricane. Here is the model guidance, and you can see generally they're off northwest. It should miss the Yucatan based on the latest satellite, and head on off towards the north. Now the NOGAPS takes it into Louisiana. The GFS model does have it hitting Mississippi. The GFDL HWRF models are towards the Panhandle or Alabama, and almost all the models show some kind of right hook after landfall. So who knows, if this becomes extratropical, it could be a coastal storm that tries to come back, and we'd have to deal with it then. Now here's the wind shear of Hurricane Ida, and right now it's got a pretty hefty 30 knots of wind shear shooting through it, and that's why it's looking a little bit lopsided like that, but it is still able to crank up that eye, and the waters are still hot, but it will gradually get worse and worse for the system as it moves further north, and the waters get cooler and the shear gets higher. But nevertheless, we are dealing with Hurricane Ida at this point. I'm Mike Naso from IPR, and this is it. This is the final video update, and this time I mean it. I will talk to all of you guys in the future, and take care. Mike Naso from IPR365.com.